Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome to this edition of Young Africa Connects. My name is Kambua. This month, we've designed a show pegged on International Women's Month 2024 celebration, which marked a pivotal moment in the global movement towards gender equality and women's empowerment. Basing the conversation on this year's theme, Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress, we hope to highlight the critical importance of allocating resources, support, and opportunities to unlock the full potential of women and girls from all spheres of life. We also wish to underscore the urgent need to address the persistent barriers and inequalities that continue to hold women back. Furthermore, it's important to harness the power of investment in women as a catalyst for driving positive change and accelerating progress towards gender parity. We have with us a diverse panel representing experts in various fields, and I am so honored to introduce them to you. Better yet, I will allow them to introduce themselves. So, welcome ladies, or as we say in Kenya, karibuni sana. And I want to give you this moment to, oh, there, we got Tandiwe. We were waiting for her to join us. I want to give each of you a moment, a minute to just introduce yourself. And this is something that you can also tell our viewers because we're having a conversation around women. Tell us what you love about being a woman. So tell me your name, a little about what you do, and what you love about being a woman. I'll start with you, Kathy.
Hi everyone. My name is Catherine Asego. I work with the Forum for African Women Educationalists as a Senior Advocacy and Partnerships Officer. And I'm very happy to join you today. FAWE, essentially our core mandate is promotion of education for women and girls. One thing I love about being a woman is the fact that I'm able to actually bring forth the future generations. So that is something that I'm really passionate about. And I'm very happy that I get to do that through the work I do and also by virtue of just being a woman. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That is fantastic. I'll go over to Sophie. Sophie, please tell us a little bit, your full name, a bit about yourself and what you love about being a woman.
Okay, thank you. This is Sophie Bemba from Training Overall Women in Uganda. What I love for being a woman, it's the woman who gives life to every human being on earth. And it's the woman who puts in action all the men's plans. Thank you.
Thank you. That is awesome. Thank you. I'll go over to you, Tandiwe. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us if it's Tandiwe or Thandiwe, and also what you love about being a woman. We cannot hear you, Tandiwe. Could you check if you're muted? Okay. All right. As we get your volume, your sound sorted, let's go to Debbie. Debbie, tell us a bit about yourself and what you love about being a woman. Karibu.
All right, so my name is Deborah Ade Abrefi, and I'm disability activist. Losing my hand as a young lady has really helped me a lot to be able to do things as so-called able people do, and how I also impact life to other people with disabilities, has really helped.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Debbie.
Yes, thank you.
Tandiwe, we got your volume.
Hello?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hear you now. Please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Tandiwe Mkogeli. I am from South Africa, an artist, a dancer, a choreographer, a theater maker. What I love, can you hear me though?
We can hear you.
Okay. What I love about being a woman is the fact that a woman can make anything out of anything.
Yeah.
Not saying other genders cannot, but there's always an easy way, not easy, but like a quick way of finding something to do out of something.
Yeah, thank you so much. Those are such amazing answers. And I'll tell you that one thing I love about being a woman is that we're able to multiply things. You give a woman something as very little resources and they can do so much with it. So we multiply, we grow things. All right, so I want us to dive right into the conversation today. And I want you to tell us, because we've just gone through a whole month of celebrating women, looking at the progress that we're making as women, but also acknowledging that we still have some ways to go as far as creating opportunities, investing in all of that. What are some of the areas that you feel need the most investment when it comes to women? Okay, whoever wants to jump in first, you can tell me what are some of the areas you feel need more investment as far as women are concerned. Who'd like to jump in first? Sophie.
Okay. Sophie, areas which needs investment most in relation to women, education. According to the time I've spent in training a woman, I feel most of the rural women needs more education. And some of the cultures, they still believe in cultures that the women have to be just behind the men. It's not that women have to be behind the men, it's just that we have to give them value, but we can be on the same pace.
Yeah.
They also still believe that there is disparity in payment, that the men have to get more than women. So when we educate a woman, she can fight for herself. She can know how to fight, she can be earning more and care about the family. I feel we need more education. I feel we have to educate most of the women. We put more emphasis in education.
Yes, thank you so much. And I think I will tag what Sophie is saying. I'll throw this to Catherine because I know you're smack in the middle of education where women are concerned. Do you agree with what Sophie is saying? And what do you feel now that you're in education? What do you feel should be done more in investing in women?
Thank you very much for the opportunity once more. I really agree with Sophie in terms of supporting and investing in education for women and girls. Because when you look at the strides that we've made, especially as a continent, with regards to expanding access to education, we've seen a lot of countries, for example, putting in place policies and measures to support universal primary education. However, a recent report shows that we have approximately 18 million girls who are still out of school, primary school. When we look at issues of girls completing their education, as well as even accessing education, especially for girls from underprivileged populations, even rural areas, there's still a lot of girls who are out of school. When you look at the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, which are still reeling from, there's a bigger percentage of the girls who dropped out of school, but they have not been able to really come back to school. So we really have a very big population of girls who are still out of school. In terms of what are some of the areas we need to invest in, we need to make sure that we do not lose the gains that we've made as an African continent with regards to accessing education and also working towards gender equality. When you talk about issues of teenage pregnancies, and we saw a lot of that during the COVID-19 pandemic, how can we be able to support these girls to be able to come back to school? Because essentially, it does not necessarily mean that this is the end for them. They can really rewrite their narratives and actually have that multiplier effect, as you've said, for them and also their children. In terms of investments to support the girls in their education, we can look at issues of infrastructure in schools. How do we make sure that we have infrastructure that is gender responsive to support girls and keep them in schools? Do we have adequate facilities, water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities in schools, for example?
Yeah.
Are we able to support girls and women who have special needs for them to be able to come into school, stay in school, and actually enjoy their time in school? When you talk about time in school as well, there are issues of gender-based violence. How are we able to really invest in the promotion, in the protection of violence against children, and more so for girls and women who bear the brunt in as far as violence is concerned within the school and even in the communities? How are we able to put in place measures, but at the same time, make sure that the policies are really implemented to protect women and girls, for them to keep in school, transit through all levels of school, and actually perform better, even within the school environment?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kambo.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Catherine. Allow me to throw this now to Debbie, because you've touched a little bit on a special need, and so there's a conversation of opportunities of people living with disability. And I know that, Debbie, you are in that line of work, coming from personal experience and what you're doing to help other women. What do you feel is the greatest need in that area? Could kindly unmute your microphone, Debbie. All right.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so yes, as persons with disabilities, there is a need for us to invest in us so that we can be relevant and important in our society or community in which we live. You know, normally we persons with disabilities, especially even parents, always feels that when someone becomes a disabled in one way or the other, there is no need for us to be, invest more in us.
Yeah.
We think that because of our challenge, it is not important. But I think when we invest or when we help people with disabilities
Yeah.
to build ourselves, there are a lot of potentials in us whereby we can achieve and we can even produce more to support ourselves, families, and even change the negative perception through our persons with disabilities activities
Yes.
within where we live.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that. Tandiwe, let me pull you into the conversation. You are in this art space. You're a dancer, choreographer. What do you feel is the need in that space? What kind of investment needs to be made for women creatives in order for their talents and their skills to be seen and heard?
For me, looking at how things have been going around, there's more lack in terms of girls and some other women in terms of confidence. If you can instill confidence, remind people that you are you, like believe in the fact that this is me, I'm not going to change, accept the fact that I am like this, I am built like this. If we can start from there,
Yes.
and it also goes taps in working with disabled bodies, whereby it's how we need to be taught, how we can teach ourselves in how to work with them, in how to speak with them, not offend them. Because sometimes you will think you are helping them, but instead you are offending them. So I think a lot has to do with teaching ourselves how we were treated by the good people that we look up to as our role models, and then we take that upon us and give it to or share that with the people that are within the space.
You've brought up something really important about role models, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I also want to know, now that we're talking about the needs that are there, that there's investment that needs to be done, it means that there are certain things that have been done right, that are working, and I want to talk about some of those things and also ask you what things should be done to make those things that are working sustainable, so that it's not a great thing, a great idea, it's implemented, and then it's not sustainable. So if you could tell me, in your different fields, the things that you feel, this has been implemented, it's working so well, and this is what we can do to sustain it. Who wants to go first? Catherine?
Sure, thank you. I think I like the approach we're taking, because we're looking at also what are some of those good practices that we've seen there, which I think is the way we need to go. First and foremost, as I mentioned, most of the African countries have really adopted policies and practice that supports the education and well-being of women and girls. For instance, the universal primary education. Most of the countries have also adopted re-entry policies that support girls who have dropped out of school for one reason or the other to really come back to school, for them to be able to complete school and also transform their lives.
Yes.
That has also really worked well. But in terms of what we need to do more of, I think there is usually a mismatch when it comes to the policy and practice.
Yeah.
Implementation is usually a challenge, and I think this is one of the things that we as African countries and also education stakeholders, we really need to put a lot of emphasis on. We have very good policies, we have very good practices, but when it comes to implementation and also making sure that we allocate resources, that we'll see that we implement these policies, that is also another gap that we usually see. So as the Forum for African Women Educationalists, one of the things that we usually do is work very closely with ministries of education to support them to develop policies, but also look at how best then can we be able to make sure that they implement these policies. Another thing is working very closely with communities for them to really own these policies and also make sure that they do their part at the grassroots level, all the way through the national level, and also at the regional level.
Yeah.
And another thing I think I can also mention is, as different education stakeholders, for instance, FAWE, we have come up with models and interventions that we have seen to work in as much as supporting girls' education is concerned. Kandiwe talked about issues of confidence in the girls. One of the models that we have is called Tuseme, which essentially means speak up, where we train girls and give them the opportunities to benefit from, life skills for them to build their confidence and self-esteem, and also participate very actively in the schooling and learning environment. So I think working very closely with ministries of education for them to take up and scale up some of these models that have been seen to really support and promote girls' education is also something that we really can do. Because these models are there, very many partners are doing a lot of things. But how then do we move from policy to practice so that we can really maximize on the impact and make sure our girls and our women benefit from education?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Catherine. Sophie, let me ask you, because you work with a lot of women in Uganda, women who, in the community, women that you have seen struggle financially, and you're doing everything you can to empower them. What are some of the things you feel have been happening at that level that are working very, very well for the women, and you would like to see those things sustained? Please unmute your microphone, Sophie, so that we can hear you. Not yet? Okay. Oh dear, okay, not yet. Just look for the mute button and unmute it, and then we can, because we would love to get your input on that. As she is working that out, let me go to Tandiwe. Tell me, in your space, in your sphere of influence. Okay, Sophie, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. For us, when we train these women on the side of education, we train them in development studies because we deal mostly with the rural women. Yeah. We empower them with financial management according to their level of understanding. We train them in income generating activities because most of them start home without doing anything. And in training them, we found out that these women have got children. A woman, everything revolves around that woman and makes her stressed. Through training them, we found out that there are children who stay at home without having education. And we had to start a small school for these children who are vulnerable, because most of the schools which are good, they are expensive schools.
Yes.
And some of the UPE schools were very far. So we decided to start a school for those vulnerable children so that this woman is empowered. Everything around her is empowered. Yes. We also found out that most of the women hide disabled children in their houses, and this also stressed them. And most of them, they were resorting to witchcraft. They think that having a disabled child, it's a curse. So they resort into witchcraft, thinking that they are going to solve that problem with what? With witchcraft. So we trained them that this is not a curse. This is a health problem. So please go to hospitals. And we started also a physiotherapy clinic on our organization offices. We decided to start a physiotherapy clinic, and these women started to bring their children for physiotherapy. We grouped them into groups. Every week we are talking with them, discussing everything and this, and they were opening up that many problems. Women started opening up. Some are very poor, some men have left them. We decided to train them, those who don't have work, who don't have something to do, through these income generating activities. They decided what to do. Because we train different income generating activity, it is up to that woman to say that now I'm going to produce wine, I'm going to grow mushrooms. And then we told them, these groups we formed, we said that every week you have to save. And this, you have to, through saving, you will be sustaining your project. So they started saving. Every week they gather around and talk about themselves, they discuss their problems, and we monitor them now and then.
Yeah, wow. I love the things that I'm hearing happening around our continent, practical things to just help women and to accelerate this progress that we're talking about. Thandiwe, what do you feel are some of those things that are working very well in your industry and in your space, and how can we make them sustainable?
Having a space to go to and do what you love. Like for the program that I'm running at home, the kids, the young girls are the most that come there. And what they really love, they love having a paper and a pen. And what we like to do to play a lot is spelling bee. And the confidence that they have in finding out they can spell the name is allowing them to bring other kids. They call their parents to say, please take me too, please take me too. So that's something that's working for the project, and giving them space to play. So this program also plays a lot in indigenous games, the games that were used to be played by our mothers, and now bringing them back and taking away cell phones and social media in front of them for a period of 3 hours. It allows them to think differently, to see themselves differently, to understand that not every kid that is not doing well academically, they can't be anything else.
Yeah.
So it gives them space to see themselves as something else. They see me as a dancer traveling, and they're like, okay, Sisi, how are you doing it? So now there's a platform for them to ask, whereas in some spaces they don't have those spaces.
Yeah.
So it's all about giving space. We've given space, and the space is welcoming to them, and even the parents are supporting the space. And the other thing that is have been something that has been working as well in terms of me being in Johannesburg, seeing other organizations calling out that there is a space, there are people, there are kids, there's a community that wants to do this, and availing ourselves to those people also gives them a power to say, we can do better, we can. So all in all, what I'm trying to say, if we come together as a community, if you see something, you speak about it, and then something can be done about it.
Yes, thank you so much, Thandiwe. I'm just wondering, you know, you're all working so much to create opportunities for young women, for women in general. But the reality is that not all the time do women or young girls, do they take up those opportunities. Many times they pass out on those opportunities. How do you encourage women and girls to leverage on the opportunities that are being presented to them? Because many times a good idea will come, a good opportunity, and a woman will decide not to show up, you know, not to go for that interview, not to sign up for that opportunity. How do you encourage them then to take up these opportunities that are being created for them? Let me see, I could start with, Sophie, I'll start with you on this one.
Okay, for us what to do,
Yes.
Since we've grouped them in groups,
Johnny Bemo, what a Johnny Bemo.
somebody is talking.
Sorry. Kindly
Hello?
mute your microphone, Debbie. All right. Go ahead, Sophie.
Since we group them, for us, when after training these women, we group them in groups and they talk, they discuss. If somebody is not interested in that, she's interested in another one. So we keep on monitoring them and evaluating them. We keep on talking to them. We don't leave them there. And every group we form an executive committee for every group. We form an executive committee. They meet every week. They hear from each other. If somebody is not interested in this, she's interested in another. She talks about herself. We go as far as reaching her home. We found out how big the home is. Maybe this thing is stressing her. Maybe it is this one. At times, they are very small things which distresses them. You see, for us, okay, I'm working closely with the mothers of disabled children. Most of the time, men leave them just because they give birth to these children. And you see that these women, most of the time, are stressed. They don't want even to work. They think that is the end. But when we come together, we talk about each and everything.
Yeah.
They talk, and they found out that the problem is not only her. Everyone has got a problem. From there, they start to be happy. They discuss with each other. They ask somebody, what have you done to do this? We visit. We go on visiting our friends.
Yeah.
We visit, this one is doing this, and they discuss, me, I did this according to this. Why are you failing this? So we share every week. And everyone is happy. They start to work slowly by slowly.
I love that, because when you talk, when we share what it is we're dealing with, then you realize, oh, I'm not alone, I'm not isolated, and there's a solution.
Yeah.
And as you have said, sometimes the issues are not very big issues. Once you talk about them, you realize, oh, we can get solutions for some of these things.
Yeah.
Debbie, I'll pull you back into this conversation. Sophie has spoken a lot about the work she's doing and working with people with disability in Uganda, a lot of women. And she even told us that in Uganda, a lot of families, parents will hide children who have a disability, and there's a lot of witchcraft coming into the picture and all of that. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit of how it is in Ghana when a person is living with a disability, how accepting is the society of that person, but specifically women. And then from there, I want you to tell me, in your space, I know this is a double-barreled question that I'm throwing to you, but in your space, what are some of the things that are working well? Can you hear me, Debbie? Okay, I'm not sure if she got that. Okay. Debbie, can you hear me? All right, maybe not. Okay, Tandiwe, let me ask you this same question. How do you encourage girls to take up these opportunities now that they are there, they're being created? How do you encourage them to go on and to step out and take them up?
When we look at the society, most of the kids, the girls have their role model, people that they look up to in the social media spaces.
Yes.
So if you are doing a project or something, if you invite one particular that you know there's this part in the games that they love.
Yeah.
Some of them love athletics. So in my project, we do a lot of sport.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure that if a lot love 800 meters, let me quickly try and speak to Kesper Smenya. Are you able? So you bring the people that will make them want what they want. So you get we check the process, we check the progress. So now we are here. So this is what they love. This is what they like. So let's work on what they love more.
Yes.
Bring in the people, because they've seen me already doing this. So they want someone else from outside. So that's how I do it. I source out people from other spaces. They love rap. Okay, let me get someone that raps. Let's do this project. This project is going to run for 3 days. In this project, this is what we are going to do. And then we've got a surprise. And the surprise may be that one person or two people. I don't know if I've answered you.
Absolutely, very well, actually. And thank you again for bringing back the conversation on role modeling and just the power of that it can act as an incentive, that when I see someone I look up to do something, then it could motivate me to step up and take that opportunity up. Catherine, how do you feel in your space in education? What are some of the things that you do to give an incentive to women to take up the opportunities that you're creating for them?
I love the fact that you're talking about positive role models, and that is one of the things that we as at the Forum for African Women Educationalists do in our programming. As I mentioned, we have models that we usually work with communities on, and one of them is really, when you look at one of the models, it's on mothers' clubs. And essentially, in the mothers' clubs, we give an opportunity for elderly women to be able to mentor the young girls from a community perspective. So they're able to talk about, the experiences, issues that affect them, and also just give them that kind of support within the community setting. When you look at role models within the schools, for instance, literature points to underrepresentation of women, especially when you talk about STEM-related fields, jobs and courses, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Yes.
So as FAWE, we usually have STEM clubs within the schools, and where we have female role models to encourage girls to take up some of these STEM-related courses, for example. And we expose these girls to career women, where they're also able to benefit from professionals, so that they can see, it doesn't matter where I come from, I can actually aspire to be someone in my community. So we really give them those kind of opportunities to benefit from role models. But at the same time, I think it's very important for us to understand, why are these girls not taking up some of these opportunities?
Yeah.
Maybe they lack capacity, maybe they just need us to really give them that kind of motivation to build their capacities, for them to be able to speak for themselves on issues affecting them, but also giving them that avenue for them to be able to be part of the decision making. It's not enough for us to speak for them, be their voice. I usually believe in giving them the opportunity and strengthening their capacity so that they can be able to speak for themselves as girls, because trust me, they have a lot of experience, they have a lot of good insights, but if they're not given the opportunity, then it becomes very difficult for us to really engage them in a meaningful way. Yeah. So I really love infusing the elements of role modeling and also strengthening the capacities of girls for them to speak for themselves on issues affecting them, but also making sure that they benefit from opportunities that we present to them.
That's really powerful. And just reiterating that everybody has a voice and has something, great ideas, great insight. And when you empower a girl or a woman enough to be able to speak, and tying back to confidence, I think it's Sandiwe who had mentioned it earlier, then they're able to tell, I am able to tell my story best. You're able to tell your story best. So if we can do that for those girls, for those women, then we definitely set them up for a successful path. Debbie, welcome back. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, please.
Yes. Did you get the question, or should I take it back? You got the question. Please go ahead and respond.
Okay, so in Ghana here, people with disabilities always find it very difficult not to embrace their disability. As our sister just said about Uganda, we normally go to our catchment communities, our villages. Parents who don't understand the word disability or physically challenged, we give them education. I motivate them with my story, because sometimes they think that when you are born, or if something happened and you lose any part of your body, you are not useful anymore. We go to them, we educate them, we empower them, and even give them the needed skills, training, to make them useful in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And that's a conversation that's very close to our hearts here, just creating spaces that are inclusive of everybody, persons with disability and others. Now, I know that there are stereotypes that all of you have encountered, and that you're probably still fighting in your different spheres or areas of influence. If you could tell me maybe one or two stereotypes that you have experienced and how we can continue to overcome, because the truth is these are some of the things that limit women's potential. Okay, so some of those things that you just find we are constantly still fighting as women. What are some of those things in the corporate space, in the community, in the art space, and working with persons with disability? Some of those stereotypes about women that we are still fighting. Go ahead, Debbie.
Okay, thank you very much. Even me being a leader, people think that if you have a physical disability, you can't be a leader. Always people look down upon persons with disabilities because already they have the negative perception for us.
Yes.
And now discrimination, the way people, let persons with disability always, cry. The power, the zeal that person can even enter into the public places limits. For myself, I always join people who has positive mindset towards persons with disabilities. That is why I'm doing what I am doing. Because when you are being neglected or you are being spoiled with a negative comments, as a person with disability, you can't do this, you can't go to the place, you can't even be at this position. You prove to them that upon all your deformity, there are still ability in your disability. So campaigning for the women's rights and advocacy and that things, it really helps. And we are still educating the general public in Ghana here to accept us and give us equal opportunities to be able to achieve our dreams. Thank you.
Thank you. I love that you said that there is still ability in disability. That's really powerful. Sophie, what do you think? What are some of those stereotypes that have just stood in the way and you keep trying to fight them just because you're a woman and you're having to encounter them? What could be some of those things?
Okay, we continue fighting.
Yeah.
I think that, okay, what we found out that training has to be a recurring thing in these groups. Even talking to them has to be recurring. When you are away a month without talking to them, you find that some of them are not still even coming, thinking that they think maybe you are over you are their God, what can I say? But when they come and they found you there, somebody come, Madam, I have to tell you something. And then you talk about it. Then she goes when she's satisfied. So communicating to these ladies and everyone, I think it has to be a recurring something.
Yes.
Even discussing about their emotions, their projects, how are you doing, visiting them now and then. We should keep on doing that, talking to them. They should not be left alone. Because at times they have problems and they stay in their houses and somebody can decide anything there. So when somebody is lost, we keep on going to their houses, talking to them, holding meetings now and then, and they come out. Somebody talks about herself. We leave them to talk, what disturbs them, and the success stories. So we keep on asking them the success stories. These ones who are stressed, they hear that there is success somewhere. So they get energy from their friends.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sophie. Tandiwe, talk to me about stereotypes in the art space and how you are having to fight them or to face them as you do the work that you're doing.
So there is an example of a young girl when I was doing the project this December, and she was like to me, Sisi, how come you keep on doing this project whilst the municipality is not helping you and it's helping another guy that's doing a project, a soccer team project?
Yeah.
And I said to the girl, there's only one thing that we must remember. Our emotions and our feelings and our thoughts matter.
Yeah.
What we see, what we dream of matters. So the fact that they don't see it as something that matters, it's not for you. So we only need to focus. It's really leadership. If you are leading something, then you are already a challenge. You are already going to face a lot of things. But with me, how I easily take away from it is remembering why I started, and that's also something that I share with the girls, that you must remember why you want to do something. Someone else's thoughts are not important, and we are bound to face the fact that she can't do it. She's gonna follow. So it's just to keep on remembering that I also matter. This feeling that I have, this emotion that I have for this thing
Yes.
matters too. Thank you.
Thank you. Remembering why I started, so important. I think all of us always get back to that place where you're like, the reason I am doing this is because of this and this. Otherwise, there's many reasons telling you or giving you, there's many things telling you to give up. I want to go back to you, Catherine. If you could just tell me in your space some of those stereotypes and how we can practically start to bring down these barriers, because they do hold back the potential of women.
I'll give an example of one training that I attended, and there was an exercise around, challenging negative stereotypes. So the exercise was for the delegates to talk about what an ideal woman for them looks like.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I was the subject. So they were asked whether Catherine is an ideal woman. And just hearing the perceptions and the feedback from the delegates who said, oh, she looks like she's high maintenance. And I was asked, do you pay your own rent? I said, yes. Then they said, you see, now that's the problem because I cannot be able to afford her. She is very learned. She has gone to school and so forth. So the perception around what an ideal woman should look like, we need to really, I usually say it's not about competition.
Yeah.
It's about how do we make sure that we look at the strength of each and every individual and bring it to the fold in terms of supporting women and girls and also boys and men, bringing them into the conversation. So for me and in the work I do, we do a lot of advocacy and strengthening the capacities of communities for them to challenge negative gender stereotypes that hinder girls from enjoying their rights to education, for example. And also, walking the talk with men and boys as our allies, as opposed to looking at it from a competitive angle, because it does not necessarily mean that if I'm economically independent, does not necessarily mean that I'm not an ideal woman, for instance. So just working with communities to really understand their perceptions, but also strengthening their capacities to see how then can they be able to challenge these negative stereotypes that they, in most cases, do not even know it's an issue. So we really need to do a lot of work from the community level and even as individuals to make sure that we promote gender equality and also support each other.
Yeah, thank you. And let me, because now I'm starting to wind this conversation up. I'll stay with you, Catherine, as we move to the other guests. If you could tell me ways in which we can ensure that women and girls are properly represented at decision-making levels, okay? So that even in all these organizations, I love that you've said that the men are allies, and I agree with you, but just ensuring that every space where decisions are being made, women are there making those decisions, helping to make those decisions, especially decisions affecting us as women. Please respond to that.
The first thing is for us to really strengthen the capacities of girls and women for them to take up these leadership roles. I usually say even at the community level and at the school level, we have prefects, okay? We have boards of management and school management committees. How do we make sure that women are part and parcel of decision-making right at the grassroots level?
Yes.
We need to strengthen their capacities. They need to be aware that they can actually take up these leadership roles.
Yes.
Then another thing is perhaps even training the school management committees, members of the communities, on gender-responsive management, for instance. Yes. How then are they able to respond to the unique needs of both boys and girls at the community level? Development and enforcement of policies that really support the participation of women and girls. Because it is one thing to have policies, but if you don't have them in place, it is very difficult for you to put accountability measures, for instance, on school management committees, if you do not even have policies that support the participation of women and girls. So we really need to look at it right from the grassroots level all the way up If you're talking about the national level, we have policies that support education management, affirmative action, the 2/3 gender rule, But in terms of, number one, do the women know that these opportunities actually exist? And how do we strengthen their capacities for them to take up these leadership roles and support them to thrive in those particular platforms?
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to throw this to you, Sophie, and ask you the same question. How can we have more women and girls at levels where they can make decisions, even at the community and the grassroots level? How do we ensure that there are more, we're empowering the girls more, and the women that you're working with to be decision makers?
Okay, when we equip these women with economical survival skills and knowledge, they feel that they can now do something to the community. They feel confident that because they know something, so they feel confident. They have money in their pocket. You see, when somebody has something where she earns, she's more confident. She can talk. And when we train them, these people, they have knowledge. They start talking in communities. They can discuss well, and they can participate in decision making.
Yeah, thank you so much. Tandiwe, I want to ask, this is a question I must ask before we finish this conversation. We talked about, and Catherine has touched about, the 2/3 gender rule in Kenya that we have, where there has to be a certain percentage of women in government and all of these things. But many times, even as we are fighting for these positions and saying there has to be 2/3, whatever percentage of women in every organization, sometimes the truth is that the women who are elected into some of those positions are not qualified for the positions. So we end up being affirmative hire, okay? So you're there because you're filling a certain percentage. Kambua is here because this organization has to have a woman, but she doesn't necessarily have the skills for that position. How do you think women and girls can be prepared to take up the positions that are opening up for them?
I will go back to saying, remembering who you are, because if you are put in a position that you know yourself that you are not capable of doing it, then you will find ways of getting that information that you need so that you can fully practice what you need to be practicing proper. Because, for instance, like you are saying, if you're put in a position that you don't deserve to be in, you're going to fail that position. And then it goes to women cannot. So if you fully, truly understand who you are, that I'm capable of this, I'm not capable of this, then I cannot take upon this position. Let me go train, let me go get education, knowledge for me to take this upon me so that I cannot fail all women, because if I fail myself, I fail all the women.
Yes, I love that, because many times we don't realize that when I walk into a room, I'm not only representing myself, but many other women. Debbie, you're representing so many women. So how do you ensure that you as Debbie are qualified and are well equipped for the work that you are doing, and now speaking for other women generally? What would you say to women to make sure that if they take up a position, if they say this is what I am doing, that they actually do know and are actually qualified for those positions? Your microphone, please, Debbie. Debbie, we cannot hear you. Okay, I'm not sure if she can hear me. Debbie, your microphone, please. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello?
Okay, yes.
Can you hear me, please?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
As I was saying.
Okay.
I was saying that my district in Ghana here, where I share department here, social welfare department here, but because people thought that I have a physical disability whereby I've lost one of my hand, and they also have the deformity, they believe that them to maybe go to where they're supposed to go. They normally come to me. They believe that I have the power because I give equal opportunities. I also allow young ladies or young girls who have disabilities, to share their ideas.
Okay.
And through that, through that, because we've given them the role to play, and they think that the work that they have given to me, or the passion that I have for persons with disabilities, I am in the same situation with them. They believe that I'm supposed to work harder than someone who doesn't have a deformity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that out. I want to, because we have many people who are streaming us live on Facebook and Instagram, I would like us to take a couple of questions and comments that are coming in, sentiments from our viewers, before we jump into the Q&A. Okay, thank you, Knightley, Mark, Kea, Lily, Jackson, for tuning in. Lily says, when women get equal access to resources and opportunities, they can contribute more effectively to economic development. Finney says, investing in girls' education is investing in the next generation of leaders, thinkers, and change makers. Let's ensure every girl has access to quality education. And Friday's Grill says, empowering women in innovation isn't just about fairness. It's about recognizing the immense untapped potential that women bring to the table. By investing in women-led innovation, we not only promote gender equality, but also drive economic growth and societal advancement. Thank you all for the encouragement going on our social media platforms. Keep them coming. Over to some questions for our panelists, and I will start with a question here from Simpet. How can investors measure the social and economic impact of their investments? That's a good question. And let me start actually with Sophie. How can investors, when an investor decides, I want to put some money to what you're doing, Sophie, how can they ensure that what they are putting, the money, the investment that they are making, is actually being used to carry out what it is required to do? Sophie. Please unmute your microphone.
Sorry.
That's okay.
The organization has got a structure. So that we keep on, that if we apply for that money, if at all we are given that money to fulfill a certain project,
Yes.
we have to make sure that it goes to that project. We have to monitor now and then. We have to call out, to monitor and evaluate. Every time, I think we do it quarterly for us. We have to make reports to the donors.
Yes.
Now and then. We keep in touch with the donors. Even if when we change that project, or if there is a slight change in the project, we have to report to the donors to see whether they agree with us, so that we can change that project. Just a slight change in the project, we can't decide by ourselves. We have to contact that somebody and make reports now and then we monitor and make reports to them.
Thank you. I'll throw the same question to you, Debbie, if you could tell us, because many times, people will say, I want to invest, but I'm not sure if what I am investing, will it be used for what you're saying you're going to do? How do you ensure that that process is clear and transparent? Please unmute your microphone, Debbie.
Okay, thank you very much. When we run organization also has a lot of ways in a legal way, and you letting your investors believe in you, what you do. As a disability activist, we always write a proper report. Normally, when they see your activities, whether on social media or wherever that they will see, they will believe in you first. And when they come to you, make sure that you have that kind of a good relationship in a professional way.
Okay, thank you.
So that through your report, through your activities, through showing pictures, showing, your records to them.
Okay. I think she froze a little bit, but she talked about the reports and just making sure there's proper evidence and documentation of what it is we're doing. Now, and we are not able to take any more questions because time has just flown, but what a great conversation this has been. So thank you for your questions and for your comments. I need to tell you that this conversation will continue running over the next couple of months. So we're just winding up for now, but we will continue to have this conversation through the year. But I want to take a parting shot. Okay, I want to take a parting shot from each and every one of you. Okay, Debbie, you can finish your thought.
Next week.
All right. Okay. I believe she's having a bit of a challenge with her internet. But if each of you ladies could share a parting shot. We have talked about so much here today. What is the one thing you would like people to remember out of the conversation that we have shared today? Tandiwe, I'll start with you. Thank you. You're still on mute, Tandiwe. I know technology has so many challenges, but we're almost there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm
Go ahead.
back. Okay. One thing is people to remember truthfully who they are for us to go forward. And remember, for us to get something to go forward, we need to come together. There's no way we can do things separately. If we come together, we are stronger together than individually.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Catherine, please give us a parting shot.
For me, it's about being the change that I want to see. In my position as a woman, in your position as a woman, what are you doing to make sure that you empower and mentor the woman next to you? For me, it's about if I'm going to an office where I'm going to meet decision makers, how can I make sure that I go with another young woman who I can mentor and who can benefit from that kind of expertise from me, so that we can be able to begin to create this chain of, a network of strong women who are supporting other women. Thank you.
Absolutely. I love that. I absolutely love that. Sophie, please give us a parting shot. Kindly unmute your microphone. And just give us a word as we sign out. What can we remember?
Okay. Let everyone who knows something to pass it over to the community. Don't keep something to yourself when the community is suffering.
Yes.
Form groups, train them, and they will train others. So they will train the whole nation.
You train a whole nation. Debbie, we're going to wrap up with you. Give us a parting shot, something that we can remember today.
Okay, so I want everybody, those watching us and our panelists, to believe that we persons with disabilities, our hope and strength come from God, the society, the caregivers who help us to live independent life. So we should be kind to us, love us, show respect to us, and remember that disability has no respect to anyone. And disability is not a disease, but it's a condition that can happen to anyone at any time. We persons with disabilities, we love each and everyone, so show kindness.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Showing kindness. I like that you've talked about, bringing another woman into the room. We've talked about empowering those women to empower the community. We've talked role modeling. I feel like we are all saying we are all on a very similar thread here. And I really want to appreciate you all for your voices today and for speaking so clearly, representing the different spaces that you are in and influencing so powerfully, so boldly, so fiercely. We are right behind you. So thank you so much, Sophie from Uganda. Thank you, Catherine from Kenya. Thank you, Debbie from Ghana. And thank you, Tandiwe from the southern part of Africa. Asanteni sana. I just want to say thank you to all of you who have tuned in today to Africa Connect. It's been a great conversation on women accelerating that progress, investing and accelerating the progress that is already there. And as I have told you, the conversation doesn't end here today just because we are signing out. We will continue to talk over the next couple of weeks, also reflecting on some of the words that the ladies here have shared with us today, thinking back on what they've said, unpacking those conversations a little more. So we'd love for you to continue engaging with us on our social media platforms. My name is Kambua, and I have been truly honored to be your moderator today, and I will see you again very soon. Kwaheri and God bless you.